Welcome to the Fanzone show. No, it is not Phil, it is Reedy. I am taking over his show this week. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Obviously, the reason why I've called the show Who Stays, Who Goes is because we had a conversation in the office earlier. And we were talking about, at the end of the season, depending on if we get promoted or not, I want to say when we do, but I'm not going to say it just yet. But we were saying what players do leave. Obviously, there's a lot of players out of contract at the end of the season. Do we need to bring many people back in to stay up in the Premier League? But we'll get into all this after the intro. We'll get a few comments in before we do get there. Matthew, welcome. How are you doing? The councillor, obviously, of course, evening. Tom Hawk, evening. Richie, where is Phil Holloway? I know, right? What a massive downgrade, but it is what it is, isn't it? Craig, hi Phil, and all Leicester fans. Hi, I'm the Leicester City fan. But yeah, right, let's get into it, and we'll talk about everything Leicester City.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content, like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live. Thanks to our sponsors, Everards, Barlow Blinds, Pukka Pies, Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hollogram, Take Me, Newby Co, and the Foxes, Arms and Rainbows. We are live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So, as we said, we'll be talking about all the people that are going to be leaving at the end of the window, at the end of the season. Who's probably going to be coming in? Obviously, we don't know anything name-wise, but what positions will we be looking for in the summer? And obviously, who do you think will stay from the team we've got left that could be leaving at the end of the season because they're out of contract? There's a lot of players that I'd say to give contracts to, but again, with us going up, even people in the office saying that they probably shouldn't be getting given a new one because we need to be looking with better quality players going upwards, but we'll get into that a bit more. Richie says get rid of Ndidi. See, there's the first question, the first answer. Do we get rid of Ndidi? Do we try and get him a new contract? For me, I'd probably offer him a new contract. Will he take it? I'm not too sure if he would. I think he could probably move to a better club in a way of like a higher level team in the Premier League or even in a different league, but we'll get into that a bit more. Andy Medhurst says Daka can go, he is not a Premier League player. Well, so is Cannon, so is Kelechi and Acho, but let's just say that. Adele, hi. Gary says great result for us against Stoke, but a proper test awaits us Bournemouth in the cup. Exactly, and it can just show you how our system, our style can do against their sort of play, because it is all about that now. See, if we do get promoted, when we do get promoted, hopefully, it's going to be the biggest test, because we were talking in the office, and this is why I wanted to bring this main topic up in the show, is the fact that does this system and style work in the Premier League, and will it be enough to keep us up? My answer straight up was, if we buy enough quality and keep the quality we've got, I honestly think we will do well. I'm not saying we're going to get top 10, but I don't think we're going to be struggling in the way I think from what I've seen and the style of play we're playing against. And obviously, I will bring Locks in a minute, but Locks was saying that it's a lot more open in the Premier League. It's not going to be 10 players at the back just trying to block you out. So it's going to be more open. It's going to give us more areas to pass. But then obviously when it comes to the counter attacks and all that, you've just got to make sure you're solid at the back, because you don't want to get overtaken in a way. A few more comments before we do bring the first guest in. David says, evening, Ward, Dennis Pratt, Nacho, Thomas loaned out, possibly sold. Iverson, need 2 strikers, a new centre-back and 2 midfielders. I think there's a lot of questions to ask, but I think the main question is who does leave to begin with? Who does leave? So from that note, I will bring Locks in to get his views on this. Obviously, welcome Locks, how you doing? I think you're muted.
Hello, mate.
There we go.
How are you? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
All good, mate. All good.
So yeah, obviously we're talking about, and again, this is still a few months to go, but there's a lot of players leaving. Vestergaard and Didi, Kelechi Iheanacho, if I'm not mistaken, Vardy. Obviously, there was chance at the Stoke game saying Vardy 10 more years, which obviously would not happen, but out of these players I'm mentioning, is there any of these players that you would maybe offer a new contract to?
Well, I've got the list in front of me. If you're going on performances this season alone, I think you'd if you're going just off that, you'd have to offer Ndidi and Vestergaard a contract. 2 players that, well, Vestergaard especially, we thought he was done and dusted at Leicester. And he's surprised everyone with how good he's been at this level. Whether he can continue that in the Premier League, I don't think anyone knows, if I'm honest with you. Iheanacho, I think, at times he's been good this season, at times, but he's just not got the consistency about him. He never did really. He had that really good form that season. Vardy got injured. Was it the 2020, I want to say, maybe, where he scored in nearly every game. And then, after the summer, that was it. We never saw it again. So I think he'll definitely be gone, Iheanacho. I think that's one we can pretty much all agree, I believe, that he'll be gone. And then, yeah, Ndidi and Vestergaard, mate, I just can't call. Because I saw an article in December, or a quote from Enzo, who said there were no contract talks at that time in December with anyone. Yeah. So, you just never know. The club might say at the end of the season, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, Vestergaard. It's been great having you Vestergaard last couple of years. Indeed, nearly, 8 years now. But it's time to go. And that might happen. It's hard to say, man. I can't call it. I really can't call it. And then just mention the other names that that are out of contract. Dennis Pratt, he'll 100% be gone. No doubt about that. Albrighton, probably the same, maybe. I think he'll be gone at the end of the season. And Vardy, I think, I'm seeing people talk now about Vardy signing on for 1 more year. Personally, I don't think he will. And I don't think Enzo will want it either, if I'm honest. I think Enzo might want to stick with Daka and Cannon as our 2 strikers. I think he's definitely going to bring someone else in the summer, 100%, another striker. And I think he might keep Daka and Cannon. Vardy, we all know, the GOAT of Leicester. But I think he'll want to go out on a good period, on a bit of form. I don't think he can do it in the Premier League anymore, and he definitely can't start every game. So I think he might call it a day at the end of the season. And I've heard rumours as well. I've heard rumours that that's going to be the case. But
yeah, I think my personal opinion, I think Vestergaard for me, obviously it's not because of my fondness of Vestergaard, but I think the style of play we're playing and how Enzo wants to play from the back, I think Vestergaard's literally the key point in this whole system. And I think that, yes, people are saying, I think someone said, like Sam and Neil said here, Vestergaard can't defend, can't risk giving another contract. Yes, it's the Championship, but the style of playing, I don't think he's been countered much, and I don't think he's been caught out too much. Obviously, other than maybe passing around the back a bit, and it's getting and they're kind of pressuring us. But I honestly think maybe a new contract will do him good, and I do think he'll do okay in the Premier League with the style of play we are doing right now. And then Vardy, for me, like you were saying about having a high when he leaves, I'd give him 1 more year just to end on the Premier League season, and hopefully he gets a couple of goals and be like, that's it, because you don't want it ending off in the Championship, really.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, mate. I just think it's been I don't know, mate. It's kind of contradictory, I suppose, what I'm about to say, because I've just said give Ndidi and Vestergaard a deal based on their performances. However, I just think it might be best for the club to just enter this new period under Enzo. I know we're already in it, but you've got Vardy hanging around, you've got Albrighton hanging around. I don't think that needs to continue for much longer. Vardy, this season when we've needed him, he's come up big for us. He scored some important goals for us. And I just think we end it there, if I'm honest with you. That's nothing against Vardy. I'm just saying, and I think he will too. I think he will want to end on that high, like I said. Whether he retires or goes to the MLS or something like that, I'm not sure. But yeah, build that statue and wish him well, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. We'll get Jono in now to see what his thoughts are before we do move on to maybe the players that we're going to kind of look for in the summer. Obviously, I know it's still a while away, but Jono, welcome, mate. How you doing?
Hi, guys. Yeah, very well, thanks.
Yeah, all good. I saw you were kind of nodding in the background, agreeing with what Locke was saying. Is there any other players you'd say maybe to have a given of contract, or do you agree that they probably should just clear out all these players that have been here for a couple of years now and start fresh in the Premier League?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think a lot of the squad have been in and around the team and for a while, and I think they're not necessarily Enzo's players. He's inherited a lot of it, and he's probably moving into a Premier League season, which hopefully we will be. I think Enzo will want to put his stamp on things and start bringing in his own players. I think Ndidi, for instance, is playing as a number 8 in the Championship, which we can get away with because the level is much lower. But I think he would struggle in that position in the Premier League, for instance. So I think the likes of Ndidi, Nacho, Hamza, potentially, I think all should probably move on. I'm just trying to think of any more. I think the core group that we should keep hold of, I think Vestergaard should probably get another contract based on his performances. But I do worry that if he's first choice, how that might be in the Premier League. I think we basically need to strengthen the whole spine of the team come the summer. We'll need a new centre-back. We'll need some number 8s of some description. And we'll need a new striker. That's bare minimum, I would say. We've got a good, solid goalie. And we've got Cannon, and I think Daka can do a job in the Premier League, but I think we need another decent centre-forward option. And yeah, number 8. I mean, I've said it a few weeks ago, and I think I've seen someone else say it tonight. I think someone like Ross Barkley is a great option if Luton don't survive. And then whoever we could take pickings off from the Championship as we go up, likes of O'Hare or if Leeds don't go up, then who can we pinch off them? I don't know. But we're going to be looking probably at a lot of free transfer options, aren't we, in the summer? Because I don't think we've got loads of money. And so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer, I think.
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying. And I think with the squad we've got now, and obviously there's a lot of players that have played in the Premier League, and the players, obviously, you wouldn't call them Premier League players now because we are in the Championship. Would you maybe key out some players that are definite starters in the Premier League already, or do you think the start of next year there'll be like a completely refreshed team, Locks?
Oh well, I think for me anyway, in my opinion, the bankers to start next season are going to be Hermansen, Fass, Dewsbury Hall, Mavididi, both wingers, Mavididi and Fatawu, and I think that's it. I
would say Ricky P as well, potentially. Ricky P as well. I haven't mentioned Winks, and the reason for that is because he's not a good enough 6 for the Premier League. Whether that means he would slot in as an 8 as a starter or backup, I don't know. One of the advanced states. I don't think defensively Winks is enough in midfield, personally, for the Premier League. So he might need to move a bit forward. I don't know. But I think we definitely need a new 6. But yeah, Hermansen, Fass, Ricky P, Dewsbury Hall, and then the 2 wingers for sure. I think that would be the plan, definitely, for Enzo. And then it'll be kind of working around that, building a team around it. Like Jono said, Cannon's looked promising. He's still young. Daka's obviously scoring goals.
But one of the first positions, I think, and will be on Enzo's mind is a centre forward. And this is the thing as well. He's got more time now to. He's had 6-7 months working with the scouting department or whoever, Rudkin, and that's a conversation for another day. But so he'll know who he wants, and I think Callum Hare. There are murmurs, there have been for the last few weeks, and I think there must be something behind that. So if Cov don't go up, which we all know they won't, then I think we'll probably go in for him on a free contract because he'll want to move to the Prem. He's 25 years old. It's not old, but he's not like 21, 22. He is 25, so he'll want to get up there as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I'll only quickly point this out just for, I don't want to be negative, but if the case was where we didn't go up, and I don't want to say that, I don't want to say that really badly, but how many players do you think we would lose if the case was we didn't actually go up? Which I don't really want to mention it, but there is always a side where, do you think the likes of Winks, do you think the likes of Ricardo, do you think the likes of, I don't know, there's going to be so many I think that we would lose on the other side of that if we did stay down, wouldn't we?
I think you'd lose the majority of the squad, other than the likes of McAteer or the people that have come through the academy. I think you would lose the majority of the squad. You might keep Cannon potentially, but I think everyone else would go. They're all here to get promoted, and that's what's going to happen, really. So I don't
Chris, I only wanted to kind of mention it because I don't want to be like we've already got promoted because we're already talking about.
Why? What's wrong with that?
No. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that there's always a possibility that somehow could happen, which I don't want it to. But that's the switch between staying down and then getting promoted, and you're going to have a new complete squad. So obviously, what you were saying, Locks, about all the key players that you think would still be in that squad going into next season. Do you think we're going to be spending quite big on each player? Because obviously I don't know how much we're going to have spare after we do get promoted. Or do you think we're going to be the same old Leicester and buy £5 to £10 million players and hopefully they do progress to be something special, which has worked in the past with Kante, Fofana and all that. But will we look to buy 20, 30 million pound players that could do us enough to keep us up in the league?
No, I don't think so, because I think there's, obviously I've got no doubt about us going up, but I've got no clue whether we stay up next year. No one does. No one knows what we're going to be, what state we're going to be in compared to the rest of the league next year.
Well, I wasn't like that. I wasn't like that at the start of this season. When Enzo came in, obviously no one knew about him. And I was like, if we're like 15th by like 10 games in, everyone's going to be absolutely ratting over him. So
Yeah. But we've got no idea where this squad ranks up really in comparison to the... I mean, we always talk about it. We say, we're better than Luton, Sheffield United and Burnley. But and I believe we are. But when not until you're actually in that league and playing against the teams every week, you really don't know.
And that's why Bournemouth's a big test for us now. Because that is the level we want to be at.
Well, what I'm saying is that's why I don't think we can spend big. Because then you've got the risk of getting relegated and you're in a shit situation again, basically, like we were. So I think... I think maybe like Jono's spot on about the free transfer market will be in that, and I think it's probably a good timing because I think there will be a lot of players available on free deals because a lot of clubs just are going through similar.
A lot of our players on free deals.
Well, a lot of clubs are going through a similar situation financially. A lot of clubs are. A lot of clubs are struggling, and a lot of clubs probably won't renew certain players' contracts. So that's always an option. Maybe a couple loans as well. And then, of course, there'll be some players that we sign, 5-10 million. But I think I don't know who we're going to sell to generate funds. There ain't going to be no one.
But that's what I mean because of the amount of players we've got on a free transfer if we don't offer new contracts.
Yeah,
the amount of money that we're wasting from that is ridiculous.
Well, you might be forced to hope Daka has a good end to the season. You might be forced to cash in on him in the summer, because he's still under contract. You might be forced to cash in on Dewsbury Hall. No one wants it to happen, but you might be forced into it. And if he's more, because no one really thought he would want to go, abandon Leicester halfway through the season in a promotion thing. But once we're promoted, if a club comes in for him, you know, there's every chance he goes, and the club again might consider it and say, you know, you give us 40 million, that's over to Enzo to reinvest it. So
yeah,
we need a couple of Cambiasso signings, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to mention one thing, and this is only if buts and maybes, which is all as in if buts and maybes at the moment. But what if Southampton didn't go up, and someone like Armstrong is in the fold to move on because they're in the Championship? Do you take that sort of player, or is he going to be way too pricey for us?
It's a good call, isn't it? I think, honestly, I think it will be us, Southampton and Leeds will go up. Obviously, one of us will be in the playoffs. I'm hoping it won't be us.
No.
But there's a lottery in the playoffs, isn't there? So I still expect those three to probably go up.
But I think that's that sort of player. I think we're saying that if one team doesn't get up, that's the sort of signing we need to go for in that sort of striker role. Obviously, I know he's doing it very well in the Championship, and he has done it previously in the Premier League. But these are the sort of players I'm trying to kind of aim at. Say, like, we can't go for the £40 million players, but we could go for players who have showed it.
I wonder how much that is an upgrade on Cannon, though. I think someone like Cannon would be going, oh, hang on a minute, give me a go. Because I feel that I've seen enough in him to think that he could probably do a job at Premier League level. But yeah, I think we just need another really solid option, maybe more of a proven Premier League option. We're probably going to, you know, someone who's mid to lower table Premier League, probably. I've no idea, to be honest. I mean, we could go from abroad or whatever. You know, there could be options we've never heard of that could be brilliant.
Yeah, I'd agree. But I think there's definitely players in this league that we need to look at. I mean, just to name a couple, like Jack Clark from Sunderland. I think he's really good. We've been linked with Illich Chair a few times. I believe he's got some going on legally, so that might not happen now. But but there's loads of players, and you know, I don't know. I fancy one of Ipswich one of Southampton or Leeds to not go up. You know, I fancy one to flop to playoffs.
I was kind of saying that in the office earlier, saying that if one of them two somehow get into that playoff spot, which one of them obviously will if we do go up, it's going to be a potluck situation, isn't it? Any team could beat anyone on any day, and it's all again. It is all if so maybe he's apparently been linked to.
He's in
Saudi
Korea.
League.
He's just gone Korea.
Korea. That's it. Yeah. Obviously, we'll move on a bit then. Obviously, we've talked about all the if, buts and maybes. We'll talk a tiny bit on the Watford game going up to it now. Obviously, I know there's going to be a few more shows before then, but what players do you think are going to be key coming to this Watford game? Because obviously, Fatawi's back now. He's doing brilliant. He was doing brilliant. He did well against Stoke. Do you see Cannon coming in, or again, me and you have agreed, Locks, that Daka should be starting? But do you think there's going to be any changes in the team, Jono?
I can't see many, to be honest with you. Potentially Eunice coming in, possibly. And I can see Cannon starting. I can see that. I think a rotation between him and Daka to start could be fair. Depending on, who we're playing, he might feel that, Cannon's attributes are better suited to certain games than Daka. But I think Daka, as much as there's been a lot of sort of hot air about Daka, I think he is our best option at this level. And this level, he's definitely good enough.
Well, we bought him for Europe. So,
yeah, exactly.
Out of all the players, he should be the best we've got.
Yeah, exactly. I'd still have doubts whether he's good enough for Europe, but at this level, he should be absolutely smashing it. Which, he's doing all right. He's doing all right. Nacho, I think, has been a big disappointment this season, and I think his time is well and truly up, in my view.
Yeah,
he needs a new challenge and needs to move on. He's probably only here for the payday now, I think, and it's time for him to go. So I think, anyway, Cannon and Daka a rotation, and I don't mind which one starts between those two, frankly.
Yeah. The first name you mentioned was Atgun. Do you think he's going to be good enough to move into that Premier League side if we do go and buy him? Because I didn't know that both Fatawu and Atgun were in that 25 game have to buy model, and I wasn't too obsessed with Fatawu when Atgun when he first started playing, but the last few games, I think you were saying, with Cassidy when he started getting a few more games, that he was starting to find his way. Do you think that Atgun would get into that Premier League side?
For me, the club and Enzo don't want him permanently, and I think the weekend shows that. He scored 2 goals recently. He doesn't make the starting lineup, and even Pratt got on the pitch ahead of him. So I think they're probably going to carry on using him every now and then, but he will not 24. Hit that. Yeah, he won't hit that. He won't hit that threshold. But yeah, I think McAteer will probably start. He only got dragged at half-time because of the yellow card. Vestergaard might be injured, so I imagine Ben Nelson might come straight in, which has been a surprise for all of us. Ben Nelson's getting in ahead of Connor Cody, so I think he'll probably start. And then, that's probably it, mate. I think Daka, he's scoring goals. He's undroppable at the minute, and that's just fact. He's scoring goals. So until he has maybe a game where he doesn't score, he doesn't contribute, then maybe that's when you bring Cannon in. But for now, it would have to be Daka, I think.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about Eunice having that number of games option.
I didn't either.
How many games has he got to go until that's...
I'll tell you now.
You checking, Locks, yeah. While we check on that, we'll talk a bit about who else we got on
14 games. He's
14
played.
games.
14 games left.
Wait, does it count in the cup as well?
This is the championship, so I don't know.
Count? I think it might count in all competitions.
So we could get away with not playing him for 14 games, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'd agree with you. I don't think the club fancy it. And I would be disappointed if we had him in the Premier League squad. I don't think he's quite good enough, from what I've seen, to be a really big effect.
I think the role he plays the last couple of weeks in that more central role. I think if you go to the Premier League, you do need a higher level player who can be a bit more creative, like a Maddison role, which I know obviously isn't the 10, but do you know what I mean? Someone who knows how to pass the ball a bit better, like a Pratt in a way, and I just don't think he's probably got that in him.
If we're counting the cups, he's played 18 games. So
there you go. So there's only 7 games. Yeah.
Yeah. I was as well. I was just going to check Abdul's.
He's probably played all of them.
He's played 24 games. There you
go. So the next game is his bye game.
If he plays 25 and we get promoted, that's the deal. That's when we have to sign him permanently. But again, like I said on Jamie's show yesterday, I think that money's already aside. I think that's already taken into account, in the FFP and stuff, because it's an obligation to buy.
We'll still be signing him the day before the Premier League starts. So we'll drag it out.
Yeah, most likely. Right. Lastly, we'll mention Callum Doyle. Obviously, at the start of the season, we were told basically it's just not going to happen because he is a Man City player. But I think a few rumours are saying that I think there is an option to buy if we somehow get promotion. And I think that's some sort of hint, but I'm not too sure. What do you think, Locks?
I think
would you buy him?
Too much. I think he's going to be too much. I'm not saying he's worth that much. He's been good, I'd say. He was good before his injury, and he's been good since he's come back. Do you think he's better than Justin in that role? I prefer him to Justin. Yeah, I prefer him to Justin. I think he's better defensively than Justin. But yeah, I don't think they'll sell him, and I think if they do sell him, it will be too expensive. So I don't. Doyle will cost 15. I'd be surprised.
I don't think that. I think it's going to be more like 25, 30.
I mean, what is he? He's 20 years old, They're
not going to let a youngster go like that.
Yeah, he's got so much room for improvement. I think
he's going to be the next John Stones.
Yeah, I think they might loan him. We never know. It might be a case where he gets loaned to us again. They might want another loan from next year. But I can't see a permanent deal this summer.
Yeah, last, Jono, what's your kind of take on Callum Doyle before we do finish this show?
I'd like him to be in and around if we can get him. But I wouldn't be spending 25 million on him. If we can get him as another loan or as a cheaper 10 million, I'd spend 10 million on him. because I think that there's enough. I've seen enough that you could probably get a profit out of him in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably got the level of Premier League, I would say. But yeah, I wouldn't be spending that much money.
No.
Yeah. Locks and Jono, thank you for coming on the show tonight. We'll probably see you, obviously see Locks on his show on Thursday, and Jono will probably see you maybe on the Jamie's show on Sunday next week.
Yeah, nice one, guys.
No worries. See you in a bit. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
And there you go, guys. There's another show for you. As again, I've covered for Phil. I think he will be back next week. So make sure to check out for that show. And again, make sure to check all the socials right there for all everything Leicester Fan TV. Appreciate you all coming on, and we'll catch you on the next show. See you in a bit, guys.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, Everards, Barlow Blinds, Pukka Pies, Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hollogram, Take Me, Newby Co, The Fox's Arms and Rainbows. Run by the fans, for the fans. Follow us on socials at Leicester Fan TV and visit leicesterfantv.com for all the latest news, views and videos.